This one goes out to the Artcasters. Ooh, Artcasters! I say you're casting your spell, Artcasters. Casting your spell. Ooh, you're gonna cast that spell. Strike of hell. Whoa! Ooh. Hi, 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 hi.
I can't hear you, Josh.
I can't hear anything.
I love that intro. Intro's fun.
Welcome to the Mutecasters. I'm Josh.
We could hear him before. I don't know what happened.
Mutecasters tonight, everybody.
It's the Mimecasters. Now we can hear you.
You can hear me now? Okay.
Now we can.
Wow, I had fire and energy when I was coming in, and nobody could hear me. I don't know why.
We like to give you a second
pulled
chance.
A Serkland, on me, and it switched mics. So Scott, there's something weird with. It was definitely not me. It was definitely the program.
Cool.
Okay.
AI.
Welcome to Artcasters episode. I didn't write the episode.
It
Are we
is...
for?
Oh yeah, I don't know. It's...
Okay, well, I'll write the episode, but it's 400 and something. And we are all back from the Crestline Art Retreat. And we're going to kind of get into that. We have a full house tonight, a whole bunch of guests. And I'm excited to kind of get to everybody. I guess that Gary might have gotten it right. 477. So thank you, Gary Hodges.
Sounds about right.
I will edit that as we speak. Let's see, episode Artcasters477. Before we get to, basically introducing all our guests, we'll just make a go around. And since we have so many people, we'll just kind of start with Scott and then Scott Lost. And then from there, just kind of make our way around. So Scott Lost, where can everybody find your work before we get into the topic?
Hey, you guys could find me at Scott Lost right there. I got it nice and easy for you. accidentalaliens.com. You can find my books there. Second Shift, Minimum Wage Superheroes, Wanderers of Melisande, Anthropomorphic Dinosaurs versus Humans. And Astounding Adventures has Paradise Hills and Granite are both two titles that are in there. That is an anthology series. And Granite is continued in the Accidental Alien Anthologies 2024 and 2025, all at accidentalaliens.com.
I love it. Awesome. Thank you, Scott. And then we'll just go to me and then to Cory. So I'm Joshua Kemble. If you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell on this channel. I do live streams from here working on Not Death But Love, the Strange Supernatural Story of Elizabeth Barrett Browning, which is a historical fiction graphic novel about spiritualists and Victorian poets. And it's pretty cool. I also have Jacob's Apartment and Two Stories, my two graphic novels that are available at bookstores and mostly online bookstores as well. So make sure you check those out, and anything else, joshuakemble.com. Cory, where can everybody check out your work, sir?
You can find my comic Rage of Enlightenment at corykerr.com/comic. You can find the rest of my stuff at corykerr.com.
Awesome. And I see a lot of people pouring into the chat. Hello, everyone. All right, Jim, where can everybody find
Yo,
J.
Lou. Yo, J. Lou here,
J Boys.
AKA Sweet and Low, AKA Bobby Brady, AKA Weisenheimer. What's up? Go to jimluhan.com. And that's it, folks. No more comedy.
I love it. You should check out particularly the unicornians on Jim's YouTube as well. The link's down there. Not there in Gary's space, but below Gary. All right, Gary, where can everybody find your work?
What are we doing to Gary?
The best place to find me is on Instagram, right here at Dinosaurs versus Marsbots, at Dinosaurs vs Marsbots. I'm also here on YouTube under my name, Gary Hodges, and you'll know you found me if the icon is a Tyrannosaur gobbling up an alien.
I love it. Very good book series. You guys should all read it. Make sure you do. Scott, where can everybody find your work, and where can they kind of catch up on some of the new stuff that you're probably going to be talking about on this show?
Yeah, so you can follow me pretty much everything. If you go to circworks.com, there's links to everything, including my graphic novel, Young and the Dead. It's a kids versus zombie adventure story. Check that out. And there's links to my YouTube channel, which will be undergoing some transformations, and there'll be an all new YouTube channel, a bunch of stuff like that. Just join my mailing list if you haven't already. There's a thing, and plus you get this awesome toolkit called the Comic Maker Starter Kit. Click on that. You'll be added to my mailing list if you aren't already, and you'll be updated when all this cool stuff's going to happen. So check it out, circworks.com.
I love it. All right. Well, so we got a full house. So why we're gathering everybody here, we'll tip one out for our lost homie, Keith Foster, who was
tragically didn't make it back from the art retreat.
Yeah, tragically was our sacrifice. The Crestline Art Retreat is enjoyable, but it comes at a cost, and that is a cost of blood magic. But Keith, thank you for paying that cost and hosting the great event as well. You guys should check out Keith Foster's writing as well, and we have a link to him as well in the notes, just as a shout out, because Keith kind of started this whole Crestline thing with Scott Lost. So so why we're gathered together, we are gathered here together to discuss the Crestline Art Retreat. This was an idea of like Keith and Scott Lost and Gary initially, of just the idea of doing like a little art retreat. And I think initially, Gary, wasn't your idea. What was your idea originally, Gary, for it?
The original idea was, hey, let's get an Airbnb in Joshua Tree or something that's kind of more or less central for everybody, and meet up and do an art retreat. But then Keith was good enough to say, well, I've got a cabin, basically, and we can. I'm open to loaning it to the cause.
Yeah, and the cabin's like incredible. It's like it's just such a nice place. It's a like kind of 2-story. What era would you call it? Like craftsman era, I think, because you can kind of see the wood at least on the inside. Gary's like, heck no.
Yeah, no, it's not a heck no. It's like, sure. Yeah,
it's got
I don't
like
know.
a craftsman vibe where you can see all the
Isn't
different
it three?
things.
It's 3 stories, right?
Yeah, it's tri-level. Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
3
is it?
levels.
Josh is just
That's
stuck on
true.
2 stories. That's all.
Yeah. That's true. I was just looking for a shameless plug for my book, but no, there's a 3rd story that's like a basement kind of level, and then there's the main kind of room, which has like this really nice open space living room with tons of seating areas and stuff. And then upstairs there's like bedrooms and stuff like that. But the neat thing about this is that main space, it really does feel like an Airbnb for like writers, which is kind of amazing. So it facilitates a lot of conversation, and so we were luckily invited, all the Artcasters crew, and last year we did it, and I think we got a lot out of it last year. I think we were all pretty impressed by. It's funny because it feels like you're having fun and vacationing, especially to a bunch of nerdy cartoonists, but by the end of it, it's like you have so much work to show for this like crazy weekend where you got to hang out with friends and also talk and have fun and stuff, which is a nice break from kind of the regular isolation of art, right? So I think so anyhow, we did it last year, and then I think we all decided to do it again, and I think at this point it seems like something that we might be trying to do annually.
I hope so. Maybe more. That'd be great if we could do it twice a year, or at least a smaller version of it.
Yeah, I'd love it. I'd love it if we could do it more often. And going back to the house construction, by the way, Keith was telling me, because I've been up there multiple times with him since I am a bit closer in location. And I guess the house is kind of hodgepodge together, so that kind of the nook area where the record player is, that chair where that table that you guys were kind of at primarily, that whole area was added on. And
oh, wow.
Yeah. And so like, I'm not sure I know that area specifically was, and I don't know what else was, but apparently whoever owned it did a bunch of add-ons, and I don't know that they were regulation.
I have a feeling, it's funny, as someone who notices interiors for like my day job, That makes perfect sense now. That's the puzzle piece I needed, because there were a couple parts of that place where I'm looking, it's like, this is kind of some strange choices for whoever built this, but it makes okay, like it's Frankenstein together.
Are you talking about our artwork, or are you talking about the architecture?
You specifically, actually.
Yeah. He was just talking about you yourself, Jim. He was saying you are Frankenstein.
You were napping. I was regarding you on the couch. I was like, strange
choice, God.
I don't know. I don't understand what this is all doing here, but yeah.
I'm sorry. That might be the first time I've ever heard strange choice God as an insult. That's pretty good.
Solid.
I think so. Here's the thing. Rather than kind of talk too much about like the whole kind of thing, now that you guys have an idea, like the people, you know, in chats and stuff like that, have an idea of kind of what this, like where this is. It's out in the woods. That's another thing to kind of specify, like out in Crestline, and you really do feel like you're like out in the middle of like nowhere. And I will say driving there is a little nuts, like because the like every road is just like spinning, and at every like kind of stop sign, sometimes no stop sign, there's like these endless areas to get T-boned on the way there. But you get up there, and once you're in the cabin, it's like completely quiet. And it's a perfect scenario. Yes, Gary.
No, I'm just telling Jim, just resist.
Oh, okay.
Just resist. You said getting T-boned, and his eyes lit up.
I love it.
Just stop.
I love it. Yeah, so it really does have this vibe of like, it's very quiet, it's very peaceful. And then I would say with our company, it's probably anything but quiet and peaceful inside the cabin. But why don't we kind of just make a round and talk about our initial goals when we came to Crestline, and then what our experiences were like. So, do you want to start it off like Scott, maybe, and just kind of
sure. We got two Scotts.
We can go. We can keep going the same order if that works for everybody.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So my goal for the trip was to finish some lettering, and I had I'm basically remastering one of my trade paperbacks, because it is going to be an evergreen trade paperback. Like once I switch to like bigger editions, either thicker trades or hardcovers, this trade specifically will just continue to be printed, because not everyone that comes to your table is going to want to sample everything. They might just, they might not want to take everything. They might want to sample something. And so a single trade is a pretty good way to go. And so anyway, I wanted to make sure that all the lettering and stuff like that was good, because if I'm going to do a large order of this, I don't want to have subpar work in there. I want to make sure the writing is up to snuff and all of that. When that trade was created, it was a little bit of time ago. So I've become a better letterer, writer, artist, all of those things since then. So there was only like one art update I did, but there is more that I want to do in the future. But this time around, I saved it to just to lettering and dialogue. So there was some dialogue changes and some lettering changes. So that was me. That was my plan when I got up there. I wanted to finish that stuff up. So I'm going to share my screen. Let's see. I'll just share my entire screen because why not? Okay. Sorry, that's going to look crazy for a second.
Just let me know when you're ready. I'll put it back up.
Don't mind that. Here we go. All right. Oops. I'm doing things. Can you guys see my screen? Can you see these pages?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay. Well, this is not what I was going to show you, but this is part of the stuff. This is not what I just talked about.
Yeah.
How about that? Let me switch real quick. This is stuff I will show you momentarily, but these are the two things. So I had a couple of pages prepped ready. Okay, so this was
late. You've shown it. We've seen it.
I know.
All.
We've seen it all. We've seen it all. I didn't get to unrobe properly.
Yeah. By then it was too late.
You saw it all. Okay, so this is one of my old pages. So it's chaotic. It looks crazy. there is a lot of broken panels, stuff overlaying. So in the top panel here, well, actually, the third panel, a lot of this stuff drops into the panel below it, kind of like the widescreen panel in the middle. And so it's just a lot. And down here, it's like this blah, ha, 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 last panel. It's just kind of out in the ether. It's not tethered to anyone. And I'm like, okay, that's a weird choice. I don't know why I did that. So that is the original. And then here is the newer version. So even you can see in this top panel, I decided to cut the balloon off to make sure it stays within panel. I thought it was fine. You know, in the next panel 2, I'm like, this still works. It's fine. Space-wise, it was needed. I did not leave myself enough room. These pages were done quite some time ago. So now I'm a bit better with giving myself space. Whereas you can see here, I gave myself none. And so panel 3, all the balloons are cut off in the corner. The one on the bottom of that panel is cut off as well. So everything's sticking to where they should. It kind of cleans up the whole thing more or less. And if you look on the bottom panel, the bwahaha is now with the correct person and in his word bubble. And so it's all very, very clear. So I do want to show you guys.
And that's all stuff you corrected at Crestline.
Yeah, so this is the corrected version right there. So I just want to show you guys like the chaos that is one versus the other. So just seeing side by side, you could see how much more organized it looks, especially from panel 3 to 4. So there's a clear distinction. There's not a lot of crossover. It's the guy in the green shirt, Eddie, his word bubbles aren't covering people. Like I took the time to do this detailing and stuff, add tables and blah, blah, blah. So, and even the bubble style. So if you look at the bubbles on the left, a lot of them are elongated, just elongated bubbles for whatever reason. I don't know what I was doing. And so I was like, yeah, that works. It all works. And it does. It kind of works. But, you know, going to the right side, stuff's a little bit more traditional. It saves space. It's condensed down, and you're still getting all the same amount of words. So it just looks far cleaner. And then if you look at the second to last panel, so on the page on the left, there's 2 word bubbles. One is going straight down to the coffee cup holder or whatever it is. And then the other one is going off screen. So those are 2 hands in the foreground. One hand is giving the other hand that coffee cup holder thing, and the darker hand, that's the female, her balloon's going off panel, where the guy's is just going straight to the hand. So it just doesn't make any sense. And then so in the version on the right, I made the tail go over the guy in the background's head because his position is very much needed. You need to see him going like, oh, you're freaking dogging it, dude. And so, and it also frames him. So it kind of works as an artistic device as well. So it's going off panel where it should be, and it's framing the guy in the back. So I thought that was cool. And so yeah, that's the kind of stuff I was doing while I was up there. And then
I love that. I love that as an example too of I think Paul was just saying simple and clear lettering is so important, and it's cool to see the evolution of that from kind of like your first iteration, probably when you were like relatively newer to this thing, and then to the later iteration where clarity kind of becomes the above all, because you know I think that is kind of one of the things that's I think a lot of us could sympathize with and relate to is that the more you do this, the more clarity of story is like one of the most important things in comics, right? Because you hand it to people and then you see some of the confusion they have when they're reading it, and you're like, "Whoo, like I gotta fix that." So
absolutely.
I think that's a really good example to show people of like, you know, the maturity of an artist, like just in prioritizing panel flow and word flow and ease of reading. I think that's great. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And not only that, as a reader, if you turn the page and you see that first page, like the old version, it is so much dialogue. Like it looks crazy. It looks like far too much stuff. And you're like, oh crap, this page is going to take forever to read. that's a lot of information. But then when you look at the newer version, it looks, you know, it kind of takes you panel by panel, so it's not as overwhelming.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, you kind of look at it and you go, okay, well, you know. And then, go ahead.
I was just going to add that you kind of go in a little deeper dive on this current episode of Making Comics. If anyone wants to check that out. Lettering.
Yeah, definitely. The last few episodes, I've definitely been talking about it way more. It's something, you know, something that me and Cirque were talking about on the retreat was the art of lettering. You know, it's like us being artists, like in, you know, the traditional sense is one thing, but when you're lettering, it's a different type of artistry. Like there's, you know, and like just showing you guys the examples of that. I hope that's pretty clear for people watching this.
That's one of the reasons I'm always touting Chris Ware, right? He's probably easily the best letterer in comics. So it's like lettering's huge. I love that. And I love that. Well, I'm sure get into that, but there was a lot of dialogue back and forth going on during the Crestline. And now that Scott mentioned kind of that Scott lost, there's two Scotts, so I got to be careful which Scott I'm referring to. But now that Serkland, I'm just going to call Scott Serkland. Now that Serkland mentioned that conversation, it's actually reminding me to mention that we also recorded a Making Comics podcast. You guys had us on, you and Keith, and that should be dropping on, I believe, like Spotify and like all of the podcast kind of platforms out there. So keep an eye out for that. Yeah,
I'm not sure if it's this coming week because Keith and I ate into our buffer a little bit. So it's either going to be this week or next week. So it'll be pretty soon. And then like Cirque was saying, the last couple of episodes I've been talking about lettering. So if you guys want to hear more about lettering, it's in those as well.
I love it. Yeah, and that was a good reminder too, because I wanted to mention that we wanted to go live. Like initially our goal was to do a live art cast there, but I think like when it came to Sunday was when we were going to do it. That's usually kind of the best day to do that. It's the last day of the retreat. Like we kind of start on Friday night. We do all day Saturday. Saturday's crazy. Like Saturday is the day where everybody's kind of in the flow and everyone's hitting the pavement like hard, you know, so we're all working from like, 6 a.m. to 2 a.m. And so there's never really a good time to do a podcast, but then we were thinking about doing it on Sunday. And I think by the time Sunday came around, I think we all kind of looked around and like weighed like, well, hey, we're all being pretty productive here. Do we want to like mess this up like from podcasting and so we were like, okay, we'll do we'll do the Making Comics and then Artcasters we'll do as like a wrap up. So for those of you who are like Artcasters fans and on Saturday or Sunday we're like, hey, where's my Artcasters? We just didn't think we'd be able to give it like 110%, so that's why we're kind of doing it today. But if you want to hear stuff live from it, keep an eye out for that Making Comics episode, because that's live. That's actually there. That's all of us sitting around a room, just kind of shooting the breeze and stuff like that. Scott, did I cut you off from the other stuff you worked on?
No, that's all good. That's important. I apologize if you guys were trying to get my attention. So when I'm sharing, I can't see anybody. I can
not
only.
At all. Yeah,
okay.
No worries.
Okay, and then I'll just do one more real quick. So let me figure out what the heck I'm doing again. All right, crazy mode. Is it doing it?
It has a YouTube page open so far, the one that I see shared.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Oh wait, there we go. It has that crazy effect going, right? You guys seeing my screen?
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, so this is the thumbnail. So after I finished the lettering, I switched to a noir story I'm doing with my studio, The Accidental Aliens. We do anthologies every year, and our theme for this year is noir. So this was one of the pages I ended up working on. I was going to work on page 2, but I do a process called the Slack method. And if I get stuck, I will move around. I won't try to push through if it's just too hard and things just aren't flowing. I always pivot. So I always create where the heat is. So this is the thumbnail of the page I ended up working on. Unfortunately, I did not finish it because lettering did take up a decent amount of time. Let me see, is this okay? And then so this was somewhat of the progress that I had made while I was there. So I'm actually only one panel behind, and this page will be finished. Since I've been back from the retreat, I've been working on putting together the PDF for the lettering. So that's been pretty much taking up all my time. So I actually haven't been able to work on this since I got back. The only thing I did do are these two characters right here in panel 1. And so right now I'm in the process of messing around with the shading, like how I'm going to spot the blacks on these characters. So I like to duplicate my layers first before I start doing stuff like this. So if I'm not happy with this character and how he's looking so far, I can just delete that layer and start all over again, because I'll have the line art. And I am doing a Frank Miller-esque style, Sin City style, for this book, for the short story. Every time I do a short story, I like to mess around with different artists' styles. And a noir story, that says Frank Miller to me. So yeah, so I was messing around with this, just something different.
Yeah, one of the things that was really fun at the retreat is, like I said, the cabin is kind of an open space, and so I think I was kind of at the kitchen table, which is kind of right by the couch like the couch seat that Scott Lost was working on this at. And then I think I had like Cory and I think Jim were like kind of at the table. Scott was like throughout the whole thing. We'll kind of get into that, but he had his space for his giant page that he was inking. But the inspiring thing was like to look over, and you kept you would kind of pull open like Sin City issues that you had brought with you, and you were kind of talking through like what you were trying to kind of pull from it, like what kind of inspiration, and looking at the panels and kind of analyzing those. And then I remember when I finally kind of wrapped up what I was doing at the kitchen area and kind of walked over to look at what everybody was doing, I was like, oh wow, you're like really nailing that style.
Oh, thanks, man.
Because those pages you were doing, so you were definitely hitting that note, you know. But it's cool. It was cool to see that process where you're like really getting that inspiration, you know.
Yeah, the other page I was working on, it had a building, and oh, I should have uploaded that one. So I had a building that I had to work on, and Miller in the Sin City style, he's very specific with it. Like sometimes it's reverse imaging. It's like a reverse photo where the blacks are white and the whites are black. So I was looking for something. Unfortunately, the miniseries that I brought didn't have any buildings in it. And so I had to just resort to Google, and I started Googling stuff. And so I found some things, but it was cool. It was cool figuring out that process. The same thing, I had the line art and I just duplicated it a couple of times. And then I was like, oh, this one doesn't work. I need to try a different way. And it was really cool, man. I like studying other people's techniques and just, it's like kind of seeing how their brains work. And it's cool. Like when you can unlock something, you're like, oh, this is it. This is how he does it. It's extra exciting for me.
Awesome. Yeah. I think as we go around, maybe like when we start, we can kind of mention like the people who went before us or something, like kind of our interactions with them. But I know that like Scott, you more than almost anyone at the retreat, I did see kind of making their rounds and really helping people problem solve. You helped me kind of break through like a little bit of a block I was having on a panel where I was trying to kind of remember, because I was just getting in that flow of like repetitive conversation stuff, and you kindly kind of reminded me of like, you know, kind of the old movie rule, right, where it's like, hey, if you have an argument going on with characters, have them in the kitchen so you can kind of show the sink, and you can show, you know, the person like, you know, scrubbing the glass and breaking it or something. So there's like tension, and there's other things you can show other than just heads, you know. And that was all like, that wasn't new information to me, but it was like brilliant and amazing and helpful to kind of work through that and remember. And I saw you do that with like everyone at the retreat, where you'd, you know, be talking to Cory about like his story, or, you know, like helping basically it's just something I saw across the board. So I think that's, you know, I don't know about you, Scott, but that's like one of the big values of these retreats, I think. I don't know if any of you guys have like specific instances like that before we kind of want to make the rounds and talk about our own experiences.
Scott got the Fred Rogers Award that weekend for being kind.
Yeah, we really should make up like some silly awards that we pass out at the end of the
I also
retreat.
helped I helped Jim with his like knots because like his victims keep getting away. So I was like, dude, you're not doing it right. Like you got a double knot, man. These single knots just aren't working.
Yeah, I'm working on that Dahmer honor patch. You know?
Legs first, then hands.
I
They
do
can't
have.
run.
Oh my gosh, I have a really funny Scott Lost Jim Lujan story. So we're all in this main room, and like I said, there's like a basement area. And the funny thing is, every once in a while, Jim would, like when he was recording audio, would come like grab people and then bring them down to the basement. And but what's funny is like once they're down in the basement, I think there was one point where Jim's like, Scott, I need you to make noises like you're being punched and beaten up, right? And then he goes down in the basement and you just hear this, like all these noises. And I was joking to Cory that like if Jim wanted to murder people at the cabin, like that would have been the perfect alibi. You know,
Wait,
somebody's coming up grabbing celery. Like
No, you told Cory, why is Jim's recorder still up here?
That's true. Yeah, that's a good
Weird.
point. Then we looked over and all the recording equipment was still there. I love that. Cool. Well, Scott, like overall, like was it as productive of a retreat for you as it was last year? Like what would be kind of your comparison? What'd you get out of it this year?
It wasn't as productive in the same way. Last year, I was better prepared, to be honest with you. I had pages that had some rough pencils on it. And so, you know, there was enough information there when I was at the retreat to just kind of have fun, party, and like, look, I'm a vet at drawing while inebriated. So like, you know, it's like, okay, Friday night of last year was our introduction, like a lot of us meeting in person for the first time, you know, getting to know each other, or, you know, just like, oh, we haven't seen you in a while. Let's just drink and have a good time, you know, on night one. And for me, I'm used to it. You know, during quarantine, me and my buddies, we would, you know, have like Zooms every Friday night, and we would just like get messed up, and then like whatever, I would draw while it was going on. So I'm kind of used to doing that type of thing, going to drink and draws, all that. So last year I was really productive and prepared, while this time the lettering aspect. So I just finished a Kickstarter, so it was important that I need to get this done quickly. And so the initial plan was to solely work on the noir story, but realizing my deadline was fastly approaching, I was like, I got to pivot. I got to do this lettering stuff. So there was a lot of production in that sense. It's just not a lot of production I can show you guys. Like I don't feel like I have something to show for it, but I did finish a lot of pages, and you know, beyond the one I just showed you guys. But like for me, it's like I love getting interiors done. And last year I think I got 2.5 to 3 pages done. You know, maybe overall like scattered work, you know, like I do the Slack method by jumping around. So like maybe 3.5 like pages worth last year. And so like for me, that's pretty good in like a 3-day period. So, but this year it was like a bunch of lettering and then half drawing and all of those things. But, you know, something you mentioned, like talking to people and like problem solving, like that's something my brain just wants to do naturally. So if someone goes, man, I got this thing going on, I don't know what to do. It's like, tell me about it. You know, let's figure this out together. And, you know, I could give you examples and hopefully this stuff works. And if it doesn't, maybe it makes you think of something else. And then that's the thing that works. So I liked that aspect of this trip. I had a lot of fun talking to people about their projects and just helping where I could, and then just having a good time and hanging out.
Yeah. And I guess I'll really, because we're just going to try to go like the order we went at the beginning. So I'll really quickly recap like my thing. So I went in there. I have a book right now, Not Death But Love, The Strange Supernatural Story of Elizabeth Barrett Browning. I know we should have probably made it longer, the title of that. But I went in kind of hoping that I would get a little bit of music recording, get a little bit of that, well, a decent chunk of that book done because I'm on deadline. And also just have like a nice kind of hopeful refresh to kind of re-spark the fire a little bit of just creativity, because, you know, it was a long summer of just kind of working on comics alone. And, you know, it's funny, I was joking with a friend about that because they were like, wait, you're actually going on vacation? Like, what is this? You know, like, because they know how I am. I don't travel a lot. I don't do a lot of trips or meetups and stuff. And I was like, this is the kind of meetup I want to go to, because rarely in life do you have a bunch of friends that are like, hey, let's all hang out together, drink and work. Like, which to me is like the only way I could have taken a break and met everybody. So that was super cool, and it was very productive. I guess let me see if I can. I just threw this together, but let me see if I can pull it up.
Real quick, Josh, while you're pulling that up,
Yeah.
I found out something about you on the way back to my car. You're dropping me off. And I was like, oh, I have this IT crowd shirt. I want to wear it during the episode. Because Josh, he didn't do this one, but like apparently Josh has done t-shirt designs and one is in the IT crowd. And I was like, what? That's one of my favorite shows. So it was cool to find that out about you.
Yeah. Weird little known fact. There's like two times my art's been featured somewhere, but yeah, my art's in the background of the League of Cliche Evil Supervillains, my t-shirt design. But yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and that okay. So half the fun of this is like my experience of it was like going kind of enjoying the fact that like the first day I felt like we all were pretty comfortable with each other. So like you said, Scott, like I think the first time we were all kind of feeling each other out and like getting to know everybody, and so there it was a much more social kind of thing. Whereas this time I do kind of feel like, and especially I will say Cory kind of led the way on this. But I feel like once we got there, we all kind of hit the pavement and just started working, and still conversing and like joking around. And it's a fun environment because while you're working, it's almost like being at a coffee shop with people you really care about and are all like, imagine walking into a coffee shop and hearing different conversations, but it's all creatives that you respect, talking about their projects and stuff, or just cracking like the most inappropriate, hilarious jokes. Um, and so that's kind of the environment. So, first day I was like crazy productive, and I got, a page, finished and colored. And then, let me see. So I'm going to kind of show that a little bit. And then for the rest of the weekend, I was working on stuff like this, which while it seems kind of simple, is actually like half the work of comics. So I did.
Blow up your screen.
Yeah.
Oh
Blow
yeah.
up you're still little.
Let me see if I can.
Cory,
I don't know what
I think
Cory
Cory
did. Cory's the magician.
There we go.
Oh, wait, that's
there
good.
you go.
Now,
Okay.
There we go.
Hey, guys.
Yeah. So this is
You guys
the
are
page
so
I kinda-
impatient. That's not it. Hold on. It's like I got to push a couple buttons.
So this is the
Hurry,
page
hurry!
I completed. I had it kind of roughly penciled, and then I inked it and toned it and colored it, and then that's what I started the weekend with. And imagine while you're working on this, like just this great flow of conversation. Keith has really good taste in music too, so you have this like great energy and music going. Everybody's working, and from there, I just kind of knocked out endless pages that look something like this, like just roughs. And roughs are like probably the hardest part of comics. Like creatively, they're very fun, but it's like really trying to break down a script and figure out exactly what you're gonna do with it, And so I did like a lot of these kind of throughout the weekend. And then here's the one where I know I have like two more of these, but I only pulled up these. But this one, particularly that first panel, was the one that Scott and I were talking about. Where initially I was like, I had done a lot of camera changes and stuff like that. You don't want to ever show floating heads. But I was reminded to kind of like, add like a background element. So in this case, I decided to shoot the scene that's on this patio over the roof and then have like a bird kind of flying in the foreground. Yeah, and so overall it was kind of productive. Let me see if I can remove myself now from Cory. Can you go back to normal? But what I found really productive and cool about it was just nice to like have conversations with everybody. It was really nice to be able to hang out with Scott and Keith a little more this year. I feel like we got more time to actually get to know each other and know more about like our creative paths and our backgrounds and stuff. But yeah, it was just like energy. And the thing I love about Crestline that I got last time that I got this time as well is when I got back home, rather than being like, ugh, gotta do another page of comics, I'm like, I can't wait to get to comics. Like, Every day I've been at work, I've been stoked to get home and like hit the pavement and, you know, start being productive and creative because I was just surrounded by people who are making their own thing. And I think that's like half the fun of the Crestline thing. So that was kind of my experience with it. And my takeaway from it was just, you know, how grateful I am to like know, I think we were talking about this on Making Comics, and again, you guys should check out our roundtable on Making Comics. But one thing that was brought up there that I think like hit home for me was this statement of like,
Sorry.
oh, okay.
My
I
bad.
thought that was
Sorry.
on my end.
Yeah, me too.
It's okay. I think we all were like, oh my gosh, did I leave something in the oven? But yeah, I think just the cool and unique thing I think about this group of people is like we all have this common thread of being really driven to make our own creative projects and creative vision. But at the end of the day, it seems like we're all making like very different things. Like none of us are like in the same lane. And I think that's really cool because like a lot of comic clicks, you know, it'll be like we all make the same exact kind of comic and we all hang out. And I love the fact that we're all doing like totally different work with different styles and different approaches, different genres. And that the common thread is more just that like creative energy and like create our own stuff. And so I think that's like a rare thing. And I really appreciated kind of getting that energy. And then, you know, now I can use that as fuel till, you know, we do another Crestline meetup. So that was kind of my overall view of it. Cory, what did you come to Crestline to do and how'd it go?
Well, there we go. And then let me push that button. So these are the page. Oh, no, they're reversed. Are they reversed for you guys?
They don't
Oh,
look reversed for us.
Okay.
I don't think.
They're just reversed for me for some reason.
Yeah, I don't think so.
So, yeah. So these are the pages. So I thought I showed up with 8, but I showed up with 7 pages in various stages of construction. So here's where everything started. I had, not everything. I had 2 of them inked, and then I had, and then so I came in and I had 3 of them inked. So I colored those 3, and then I inked these 3. And I didn't get to this one. So just to show you where everything started and stopped from the beginning of the weekend to the end of the weekend. That was the first page that I did. And I can't remember, I should have timed it, but my plan was to yell out every time I reached a milestone just to annoy everybody else. So I'd yell, first page colored. So there's page 28 and there's page 29. And so this one was inked, and then I colored it over here, and then page 30 came inked and colored it here, and then the fun part is the inking for me. So then I got this page inked. So I showed up with the pencils and then inked it, and I inked this page as well, and then this one, and then. This one I didn't get anything done on, so it's coming. So I fell short. I fell one short of kind of what I was doing, but anyway, yeah, that's kind of where I ended up. And I also worked out some story beats with a few people, and that was really helpful to talk to Keith and Gary and Scott Lost and kind of work out some of those types of things. But yeah, so. That's where I ended up. And then I published 3 of those pages. So, and that's a little bit of a hassle because I type out the transcript for SEO purposes, and then I put it on my website. I've got to kind of like, it's not hard coding, but I've got to kind of like hand build those pages so that they have next and previous because Squarespace doesn't do that automatically. And then put the transcript in, and then so I did that for those 3 pages, and then I built the email newsletter on Substack, and so I think that's it. I think that's everything I did. Yeah.
That's
Cory,
it.
your colors are insanely cool too, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
maybe next year you won't slack off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
David said Cory's better than everyone. LOL.
I feel like I had to make up for last year because last year I was coming out of a slump, And so this year I hit the ground running on everything. So I came prepared, but last year I hadn't drawn anything in like 2 or 3 months, and I was in the middle of writing some stuff, and so it kind of it just took a little bit longer to get going. But this time I had stuff ready to go, and I'd been coming off fairly stressful stuff at work, so it was nice to have something to focus on. But
I love that. One of the things, so I mentioned this kind of, but initially when we all got to the Crestline cabin, all of us were kind of getting our gears together, and I think a lot of us were having a slow start. I know Gary and I were talking about that. We had like kind of a slow start, and then we're at the table, and you just hear Cory going, "Page 1 completed," and like I think when he first said page 1 completed, all of us were like, "Oh, okay, now." To quote Gary, we're doing this now. But it was like that kind of like, oh, okay, we got to get up to speed. But it was kind of cool because it was really meaningful to see the kind of difference this Crestline versus last, where you had like finally arrived at like the thing you were going to create. And then also knowing that was connected to last Crestline. I think the last time, Cory, when we were all going to that restaurant that's over by the place that sold the bugs.
Yeah.
It was, I don't know, for me, it seemed like kind of a nice thing because it was like, hey, Cory, that's the thing that like kicked this thing off, you know? And that's kind of, I don't know, that just felt like a kind of a cool cycle, you know?
Yeah, it was fun. It was a bummer that they were closed because I want to poke my head in there a little bit, but
yeah.
So
meet that lady and be like, you inspired a comic.
Yeah, right.
I think that was really cool. But man, your inks are just gorgeous on those pages.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I've been working on the control of the textures of when to do it and when not to do it. So I think the areas of simplicity have gotten better because it used to be a lot of just a big wash of stuff, and so now I'm backing off of it a little bit so that things can breathe.
Kevin said
that's really nice right there.
Yeah, Kevin said he's only 3 to 4 hours drive from your house, Cory. He said he's driving there now. He can't wait to see your reaction.
Yeah.
All right, man. Let's do it. I'll have the sauna hot for you.
I love it. And then also Paul was asking if you're going to have a print version of your comic. Are you planning on that, Cory?
Yeah, I am. So I will kickstart this or depends if I have a publisher or not on some of the stuff, but so publishing is a possibility. I definitely will do some sort of Kickstarter and small print run thing once I get it to either done, which will probably be next year, or at some like major stopping point, halfway or something like that. So it'll be printed at some point.
I love it. So what overall, like then if we do Crestline round 3, you're down to do it?
I travel the farthest, I think, and so I'm always a little hesitant to commit. But yeah, I like it, and I'd like to do it. If you guys start doing it, every month, I'll probably come every year. If we have it up in Idaho, I'll be there. But if it's yearly, I think I can make it as long as it happens, during a time when I'm not teaching. So.
Yeah, Cory was the one when he said he could make it. I'm like, oh, great. That means we're probably going to have everyone. So it's definitely the hardest for Cory.
Cory, you literally got home like today, right?
Yeah, I got home at 4 a.m. So when I left to go down there, I left at 9 a.m., drove 4 hours, got on the flight, get through TSA, all that jazz, and landed sometime 4 in the afternoon. And this time, the flight left at like 7 p.m. and it landed at about 11:30. Got my car, grabbed some snacks, and drove 4 hours back home. Got to bed at 4:15 in the morning. So,
to me, this is a great compliment to the retreat because I have to say I don't know if I would do all that.
Yeah, that's true.
That's rough. So
that's the trade-off to live in paradise. Is it's harder to get to hell. So yeah, once you go anywhere else, no, I mean, yeah, no one lives here, which is why I love it. But then when I have to go visit people, no one lives here, so I've got to go elsewhere to make that happen. So yeah, because I've gone and visited Scott Serkland, and he's like, oh, I don't know if you can make it because it's an hour drive from Phoenix or whatever, and I'm like, an hour is easy. Like,
Yeah,
I'll do that, no problem.
And then you get there and the air is on fire.
Yeah, you step outside and you're like, why is it 113 at 11:30 at night? I don't understand. The sun,
Not an exaggeration.
the
Corey,
sun's been
maybe
down.
you
The sun's
could
been down for
turn-
several hours.
Maybe you could turn your sauna into a TARDIS.
yeah,
Yeah, it's bigger on the inside. A little bit of time travel. Yeah,
that is a fair point. Like maybe a sauna transit system could be your next comic, Corey.
yeah,
It'd be about traveling to different various locations in your sauna.
yeah. Paul's saying Idaho to SoCal is heaven to hell. It depends on what part of Southern California you're talking about. But every time I go anywhere, I'm just like, there's like people here.
Yeah,
Like there's, the traffic and pedestrians and, stores and civilization,
I kind of feel the same way living out in the desert. Anytime I like go to downtown LA, I always have
Yeah.
this moment of like, okay, that was fun for a day, but if I had to do that drive just to get
Yeah.
to the grocery store, I would start going AWOL.
Right.
I love that. That was really cool, and I would say like just overall, I think Cory was like his productivity was like really contagious, and hopefully you have that like fire from that. Hopefully you feel pretty pumped about.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, getting 6 or 7 pages to the next step is that's pretty good for a few days. I mean, I had the extra benefit of Keith and I had like an extra day because my flight didn't leave until a day after everybody left. So I cheated a little bit. I had a few extra hours that everybody else didn't have, but yeah, no, it's good. Yeah.
And all of that, and you're better prepared for this episode than I was. You had like all of your stuff ready. You knew what to do. Mine's all disheveled. I'm like, hold on. Okay. I don't know what I'm doing. Hold on.
I cheated a little bit because I just woke up a couple hours ago. I did that while you and Josh were talking. So I threw that together really fast.
This is very good. Well done.
Thanks.
Great presentation, sir. Yeah, it was a fun event. All right, let's get into. I might have lost the order, but the next I'm seeing is Mr. Lujan, Jim Lujan.
Yes.
How was your experience at Crestline? What were you kind of aiming to accomplish? Did you in fact accomplish that? And how many kills did you get?
This year, C2, as I like to call it, was more productive than C1. But last year was all animation. Last year, I had a lot of shots to animate. I forgot I think I was working on Full Fungus.
Yes.
And it was all animation last year, no drawing. And that's a different type of mental battery drain than drawing. I think it's probably less than drawing. Drawing, you really have to focus a lot more. But I don't know who mentioned it, but I felt by Sunday, I felt the same way as whoever mentioned that they didn't feel like they got that much done. But then they look at the progress they made and they're like, oh my gosh, like where did all those missing hours go? Because somebody came in here and finished all these drawings. I don't remember doing it, but it was fun. It was good. I'll show you some of that. I'll show you. I'm working on right now at Crestline. I was working on drawings for episode 6 of the series that I'm working on called The Unicornians. And I got quite a bit of drawings done. I'll just give you a couple of sneak previews. I won't share my screen because the government doesn't let me.
So while Jim's showing this, I just want people to imagine, like, from our perspective, we're all working on our perspective stuff. And every time I look over, I would see a frame like that and just kind of chuckle because, like, everything Jim does is just magically amazing and hilarious.
Thank you, Josh. By the way, that's Kevin Cross right here. And he only can say 2 words. He can only say, that's rad. But he says it in many different ways. But yeah, I got quite a bit done. One more little drawing, but yeah, just a lot of drawing, and listening to conversations. I didn't ever have to put any earbuds in at any time because there was always a podcast going on, around the corner. It was Keith's podcast in person of him talking about his writing method and how he's, would rewrite something. Josh's podcast about, just different aspects of art. Cory's about overthrowing the U.S. government, it's the usual,
Yeah.
But it was fun. It was exhausting in a weird way for lying around so much drawing. At the end of it all, I was pretty tired. Like when we came back, I need to mention I did lose my wallet while I was there.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, you did.
That might have had something to do with it. My multiple trips down the hill to the Crestline village looking for my wallet. And I have to say, shout out to Betty. Somebody direct messaged me on Instagram. They said, "Hey, my coworker found your wallet. She doesn't have Instagram, but and gave me her contact and everything, and I got the wallet back." And so that was really nice. That was like but I was intent to not let it ruin the weekend because it happened Saturday morning. So I was like, I'm not going to let that ruin the weekend. But it worked out. Everything was great.
Yeah, that was an interesting kind of drama to have in the background while everybody was working, including you, right? Where like there was a point where we're like, "Did you lose the wallet? You gotta cancel all your cards?" And then like the Instagram thing was just getting a hold of like just all of that going on. I'm so relieved that
I also want
yeah.
to take this opportunity to apologize to Gary for calling him a dirty desert rat thief, because that was
That's
uncalled
true.
for.
There
That
was a
after,
point.
that was after I found my wallet too. So
Yeah, that was just for fun.
That was a
There,
weird
there
part.
was a point in the cabin where Jim, like a Poirot episode, like gathered us all in the kitchen and was like, "Where were you yesterday?"
It's always the ones closest to you.
Yeah.
So, but I had a great time. Again, shout out to Keith for having us there. What a beautiful cabin. The weather was really nice. It was hot, but it was nice. And no bears attacked us.
Yeah, I was relieved about that.
Keith did this really great thing before a few weeks before the Crestline get together. He sent us a video snapshot of a giant bear on his like right where we would normally sit on the patio on the deck.
I noticed less of us went to the patio this time.
But then the kind of bear you thought about.
Yes, of course. And then I have to tell my 2:30 a.m. story. Can I tell the story, Josh?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm laying in. I just woke up at 2:30 a.m. and I'm like, I hear voices and I hear talking, and it sounds like it's coming from the deck, like outside. And I just sat there and I go, if these are ghosts, these are chatty ghosts, because they're not going boo. They're just like, I could hear faintly talking, laughing, but it's on the deck. So I shared the first level or whatever with Serkland. So I tippy-toed not to wake him up. I went around his air mattress and I looked out the window and nothing out there. Is black. Like nobody was out there. And the voices kind of stopped. So then I went back and laid down, and then I started hearing him again. And I go, this is like you going crazy, like in the forest? Is this how it is to go crazy? Or are these ghosts messing with you? Like, what's going on? I could hear them, but they're not there. They're not. And then I said, okay, I'm going to sit here and really listen, like intently. And I couldn't understand what they're saying. I could kind of hear laughing and mumbling, and I could hear them saying. And then finally, I heard one of the ghosts say, "Yeah, and the American insurance agent industry is," and I was like, "That's Josh. That's Josh." And so Josh was the ghost upstairs. So somehow you guys were upstairs and the sound bounces, and it sounds like it's coming from on the porch.
Yeah. So that first night, like, it's funny because it's like, I think we described this on the Making Comics thing too. There's like this interesting peer pressure that happens in a group art scenario like this, where it's like it's 12 o'clock and somebody's like, I think I'll turn in, and then they kind of look around and they're like, nah, I'll wait like 30 minutes, and everybody's like, yeah, do more art. So it's kind of like your cliche like frat party, except
No pressure.
instead of a frat party where it's like more drinks, it's like more art. We can
No,
do more art.
I have no pressure, Josh. I went to bed right in the middle of you guys, right on
That
your
is
lap.
true. Jim was on the couch.
That was
and
awkward.
the couch slowly started becoming his bed as everybody was hanging out. Like,
Yeah. And I don't care. I told you guys. I said if it would have, you guys, are we gonna bother you? And I said no. It's if it would have bothered me, I would have said something like, no. It was like listening to a podcast, falling asleep.
The way you said it was, though, it was a little telling. You're like, no, it's fine.
yeah.
No, I said you guys, your conversations are so
You were
boring.
putting your
that it'll
curlers
put me
in
to
your
sleep.
hair. You're like, oh
Yeah.
no, everything's fine, guys. It's just wonderful.
I love to go to sleep in the middle of a raging conversation. No, it was all right. I was knocked out, but it was a good time. I got a lot done. I did feel there were short little pockets there where I was really, really, really inspired, and I was like, I did get a second win. In fact, if you remember correctly, Saturday night I falsely went to bed twice.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to go, and I couldn't, and so they got up and I started drawing again twice. And third time,
By got up, you mean you sat up in your sleeping bag with your
I
iPad?
sat up with
and
my
sure
iPad in my sleeping bag. That counts. But
But
last year, that's okay, because last year I have credit in the bank of staying up late. Last year,
That's true.
because we stayed up till
100%.
3:30 last year.
100%.
Cirque and Josh and we were laughing like madmen. And I swear to God, I thought they were going to kill us. Like, I guess nobody heard us, but we were stomping our feet, and I thought Gary was going to be really, really mad. But he had his beauty mask on, so he didn't hear a thing. So it's all good, So
I love it. Yeah, that's one of the things I loved about that too was like the Saturday night, I think I was still kind of having energy to work, so I kept kind of looking for like, and then I remember turning to Scott Loss and being like, all right, when are you out? And he's like, I'm gonna just finish this panel. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna at least bear with you during that panel. So that kept me motivated. But then when Lost was done, I was still kind of like, I got a little more momentum, but I didn't want to be the only person awake, right? And I look over to Cory and I'm like, Cory, how long are you hanging? And he's like, I'm here all night.
Yeah,
so I'm like,
you and Cory were the late nighters. Yeah.
But what's funny is then when we're both exhausted, we're like, okay, we're turning in. Then we did one of the reasons we probably don't do 48-hour art check anymore, because Cory and I, when we're together, we cannot stop just talking. Like we have great conversations, and that can lead to like not sleeping at all. So that's what you overheard, was us just chatting about all sorts of stuff, art, philosophy.
The funny part is we started, because we both teach now, and the funny part is we started telling student teacher stories.
Yeah.
And Josh got really giggly at one point when he realized that all of my students.
I heard you guys were tickling each other up there. I heard.
Yeah. No, but like Josh is just cracking up. And then what I love about that is the next morning you tried to tell like people that had a full night's rest and weren't awake at 3 a.m. what you were laughing about, and they were all like, "Oh yeah,
yeah."
I can see."
They're like, "Yeah, that's not funny."
I was waiting for Keith when you guys were being that loud that late. I was really waiting for Keith to be the Dave in the Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Yeah,
and just bust out of his room and go, "Shut up!"
He actually has white noise headphones, so.
Well, that's what I heard upstairs. White noise. So
I love it.
And with that, we'll pass it along to Gary.
Oh wow! What a segue!
Fancy
white noise.
Yeah.
White noise.
What were you kind of anticipating getting done at Crestline? How did it work out?
So I do the indie comic series D versus M, or Dinosaurs versus Marsbots. I am very close to done with the 4th issue in the 6-issue series. I have about 15 pages to go, and unfortunately I can't really work on it outside of the home because I've got it's on my Mac Studio with my Wacom tablet with my monitor. Like, it's not very portable. So instead, I have tons of concept design to do for the next D versus M. This is light spoilers. It doesn't really ruin anything. It shouldn't really ruin anything for you if you're interested in the series, but I needed lots and lots and lots of alien designs. So my intention was, I was actually really looking forward to it because I've been doing digital for the comic for like 42 weeks now.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh boy, I'm going to bring up a pad of paper and a marker and some pencils and pens, and I'm going to be able to just do old school, like concept and character design. It'll be fun, and I'll be able to be loose, and all of that. And like I think Josh alluded early on, it actually, my brain coming from like a year of digital drawing and switching to traditional, I was just picturing in my head, if you've ever seen them turn a train around on a track where they'll like put it on a giant crane and like lift it and turn it around. There was, we got there Friday and we threw ourselves into working, which was not like last year, as people were saying. Last year, we kind of partied Friday night and then started working Saturday. Friday, we like hit the ground running. So I sat down and I laid out all my pens and, and I got my pad ready and I sat there and was like, all right, and nothing's coming, nothing at all. And I was like, well, I'll just start,
Just Jim.
Make it till you make it. I'll just start drawing, and it's like garbage, hot garbage, and it's like, oh no, this is. And there was a mini spiral, and meanwhile in the background, Corey's like 4 pages done or whatever he's doing. It's like, oh, this is bad. And it was full artist performance anxiety. It was like, what if I can't draw all weekend? What if I'm in this room with all these people and I forgot how to draw? I don't know how to draw anymore. Like
we would just nicely ask you to leave.
Yeah, it's like, sorry if you're not going to work.
Gary,
you've been voted off the island.
Yeah.
You're not getting a rose tonight.
That's
Please
right.
pack your bags.
Just, you're out. Yeah, I was fully expecting, but finally, it wasn't even that long. It felt like forever in my brain, but it was probably 45 minutes of doodles that went nowhere, for very suddenly it just broke loose. And then I was like, okay, now I'm off to and after I got one good doodle, like all of that went away, and I was like, okay, now I'm back. Like I got it now, and I was able to be productive for the rest of the weekend. Actually, I felt pretty good about where I ended up, because I had told all of you I'm going to doodle and do some concept stuff all weekend, even if I have like 2 or 3 things I might want to pursue for the comic. Like I'll feel like that's a success. I'm expecting most of it to be garbage, and I put together a little PowerPoint with my finalist doodles. I've got 7 that I think are either really close or that I'm probably going to do iterations of, but I feel like, I can use all 7 of these for something. So I felt good about it. So let me, let's see here. Yeah. A little quick aside. I'm glad you appreciate that. This was a little bit of a geek splurge. It wasn't like tons and tons of money, but it was expensive, and transforms at all 3 modes. I opened it up. It's like, this is the mode I wanted it in. It came in the full like robot mode. Absolutely baffled. I had to find a YouTube that showed like how to transform it. It's so complicated. It was completely overwhelming. That's why it's going to be in that mode forever. Like I'm never changing it. Okay, so let's see here. Share screen.
Gary, while you're doing that, were there any, because I know you bought a bunch of new art supplies for this. Were there any that you were like, I didn't even need this?
I never once used the straight edge, but otherwise I didn't bring much. And actually that's a note. So can you see that?
Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, hold on.
The text I added in a very D versus ME font is just how I've nicknamed them in my files. Like, it's so cool. But, and by the way, just for, to not mislead anyone or people who saw these doodles when I was up there, I only brought one color marker. It was like a sepia tone. These are all like just me playing with the hue in Photoshop after I scanned them. you know, because I didn't want to bring like all my markers. I brought one, and so I just did some color shifting, but otherwise I didn't do anything to them. This was the first one. I'm particularly fond of this guy, if only because he was my salvation. He was the one good doodle that came out after that sort of difficult start. So not only do I like the design, like I have a personal affinity for him. So he will likely end up in the next D versus M in one form or another. This is the actual color of the marker that I brought. Just for trivia, Keith had a chess set out. I was looking for like just ideas of, you know, for alien designs. He had a chess set out that had these sort of abstract pieces. And if you can picture half of this thing's head vertically, that's a little bit what the rook's head looked like on the chess set. And I think a few of you saw me, like I grabbed the rook and took it over to my sketch pad, and that was sort of the basis for like the shape of this thing's head. So I was just looking for strange things. I think this was the second one that came out that I was pretty happy with. There's one other after this, is kind of a version 2.0 of an alien I sketched. I think a few years ago I did. It was like Take Me to Your Leader Tuesday or something. It was one of the drawing challenges on Instagram, and this was one of them. I did a different view of him. He was sitting in a chair, but like I decided to see like, well, what would he look like standing up? So
that was me and Marshall. We created that. Take Me to Your Leader Tuesday.
Yeah, it was fun.
I like its toes.
Yeah, I like the strange kind of finger-like toes.
Yeah, I know. Gary kept looking at my feet.
I know. Yeah, that was from life. That's
or one of the many pictures Jim took of feet.
It's a different website.
And then there are grays in my books, so I did want to feature a gray that's something other than the sort of combat and infiltration style gray we see in D versus M. I wanted to show like different type.
The fancy lady.
Yeah. Everyone who looks at this like, oh, she's like, they always say like she with this one, and
the feminine quality to it.
That's Carmen Sandiego.
It's a little bit of a Carmen Sandiego hat. See, I thought it was more of like
it looks more like a flying saucer now that I
was gonna say it's her ship.
Yeah, it's
like,
her ship. Yeah,
she just holds on to it, and then she just starts spinning in a circle and fucks off.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, sorry. I don't know if she's on the show.
That's cool. No,
I like this guy a lot.
I like this guy too, and I wanted at least one that kind of elicits a snicker when you see it, like it's just sort of funny.
I want to tickle it.
Yeah, it's cute. I wanted one cute. I wanted, for all the others, I think other people heard me say this, I was really putting a premium on, I want weird, I want out there, I want really strange, I want, you know, no pun intended, alien. But I wanted at least one that you look at and you go like, oh, you know, and this was that one. This is also a story, you know, working in a group. I was this far, and I was at that stage of a drawing where I'm staring at, deciding like, what else? What does it need? What does it need? What does it need? And I didn't notice that Josh was sort of looking over my shoulder. He was next to me, and he just, I just heard him say like, I think he's done. Like he kind of read my mind that it was like, oh, I think that's it. I think he's done. And that snapped me out. I was like, yeah, he's done. Yeah, that's absolutely.
It's
so
very cool.
Yeah,
It looks.
Yeah, at that point, it was like I've recognized that moment because I've definitely had that moment where I'm about to overwork something, and I was like, no, you're good.
Yeah,
like,
that's it. Yeah, and you were totally right. He's
I also
fine as
love
is.
him because he's a manatee-ish figure, and manatees are one of my favorite creatures. So just any kind of big, chubby animal thing, I'm on
kind of
board.
clumsy looking, lumbering thing.
Yeah.
It looks so fully formed as well. Like it looks like not only was your sketch done, but this looks like a finished piece. Not to say that these other ones don't, but this one looked like it almost feels 3D rendered. Like that's how well shaded it is.
Now at this was the last one I did, and I think I was fully warmed up.
Yeah.
You know, like I think after that, like basically a day of doodling, like when you remove meals and, you know, like everything else, I was like, all right, okay, you know, like I'm feeling comfortable. And then this was the second kind of version 2.0 of a Take Me to Your Leader Tuesday, I had this sort of long-legged gazelle-like crab I had done for that, and I was happy with how that looked when I did that challenge. So I did a sort of an updated version of that, which
I like that one.
I think I do too. I think I love it when it looks like
It's
first a
tasty.
plot. Yeah, delicious. I mean, with
I'm
some
not
butter,
sure
some
which-
garlic.
I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
no,
It's like, is it like a elk meat or is it like a lobster tail? Like,
I think it's more like crab. I think
Tastes
it's
like chicken.
Yeah.
I have a story recommendation with this one.
Okay.
This one to me looks the least sentient.
Yes.
And so I think it should be like the professor of the group. Like it should be the most verbose. And then everybody looks at it and is like, you can talk?
Yeah.
Like,
I do like the idea. In fact, I think on the page I wrote sentient deer,
Right.
and
Yeah.
so like I like the idea that this is actually all of these I imagine as intelligent life.
Gary,
not-
which of the ends do you talk to though?
The eyes, the little eye stalks that are looking over.
It depends on what you're saying.
shoulder.
My eyes are up here.
It depends what you want to. Well, yeah, it depends where you're trying to get with it. But no, I felt like that's I like. It's the same actual approach I take to the dinosaurs in D versus M. I want you to buy that this is an actual animal.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be like a fantasy creature. I want it to think like, no, that could be a thing, like an actual thing that grazes and sleeps and walks
This
around.
animal-
And I feel like
Totally.
this checks that box.
This covers crustacean, mammal, and insect altogether.
It's got a
Now, Gary, you're an old gamer, so I'm assuming you know this reference, but this looks like a creature that would belong in the Odd World, like the Abe's Odyssey.
Oh, I remember that
yeah,
game.
Yeah, you could see it in that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That game was awesome.
that game was rad.
One
It's
thing I wanted to
rad.
mention is like I remember Gary at one point you were saying something about because you were like, well, I'm not really getting much work done. I'm like doing like concept stuff. I forgot, but you said it in a way that was kind of like disregarding what you're doing, and it reminded me also of a time where Keith had worked out an outline for his book, and he was having this particular problem of like fusing these two ideas, and then he kind of had this moment of like, I got it. And then he started explaining why it was relevant to all of us. And we had to kind of stop him and be like, Keith, like, we're all doing, like, we know, like, what you did is big. Because we've all had to, like, do plot layouts. And so to break through the ice, like, for a normie, that might have seemed like, what kind of work have you been doing, right? But when we saw his little balloon map, it was like, oh, that's some breakthrough work. And I think it's the same with, I mentioned that to you, too, where it's like, no, like that concept stuff, like a lot of that's like the hard work, the blue sky stuff, like movie studios like are always doing that in pre-production and stuff too. And I know with your method too, you kind of treat things like as a studio, right? Where you're the writer, you're the artist, you're the concept artist, the costume designer, all that stuff. So I thought that was really inspiring to see like you kind of break through it. And it is funny how like as artists, we, like for me, even when I was teaching like my Art 1 class, the first time I had to pick up paints, I was like, man, it's been a year since I've painted, and so I had like this anxiety.
Yeah.
And you just kind of have to like get in the flow of it, and then you're like, oh yeah, I remember I've like done this for like years, like
Well,
I
and
can
it
do this.
also now this is something I kind of worked out talking about it with Mary, and part of this is going to sound a little conceited, but give me a second because then it's not. It occurred to me when I was feeling that tightness with that original like I feel uptight, I feel like I don't know what I'm doing. I think part of it was exactly what I said, that I'd been working in a completely different medium for almost a year.
Yeah.
And it was, the only kind of drawing on paper I've done in the past year is like day job, a very rough doodle, like something like this, and like stick figures or, something like that. Like nothing finished. These aren't even finished, but nothing even farther than a very rough sketch. So that was part of it, is just being out of practice. But I think it was being in a room full of people, artists that I respected, you know, and it occurred to me that I don't think that's ever been a scenario. And that's the part that sounds a little conceited, because I think back to college and this is the conceited sounding part, but I think you'll get it. Like everyone can be small town good. I often felt in any studio art class, like I'm at least top 3 in here, you know, like I felt like, you know, I was never in there feeling like, oof, you know, like my stuff was looking like shit up there on the wall next to everybody else's. Like I always felt like I could hold my own. And then I have a day job where I am the art guy. So nobody in there can draw. And anything you do is like, that's amazing, you know. This, I think, was the first time in my life where I'm in a room full of artists that I think are very good, you know, and it's like, oh, like that. I think it was the first time in my life where it's like, I feel a little cowed. Like I felt a little bit of that anxiety. And I think that was part of it. I had to get over it.
No, you know what's interesting? I felt that way last year. And I think that's why Friday night, when everyone's partying and I was working, I was like, I need to get out of that space. And when are you more loose? When you're inebriated. So I was just like, right. Go for it, you know? And so, right. Yeah, no, I know exactly how that felt. That was definitely me last year. And yeah, but I think once you hit the ground running, your stuff is amazing. I mean, like we're all looking at it here. It's just
thank you. Oh yeah, no, I really appreciate that. I mean, no, but it was. I mean, it's a compliment to all of you. Like I said, started sounding a little conceited, like I've never been in a room of good people. But
Gary, I never felt that, but I'm very, very dumb.
Nice.
I definitely get that though. Like I said, one of the things I love about the Crestline Art Meetup is like every artist in that room I respect their work, and every artist in that room is doing like a totally different thing, and the strengths of everyone's different too. So it's like really inspiring. But yeah, I can totally see that being overwhelming too.
That does help, because can you imagine if we were all in there? It's like, you know what? It's
we're all doing alien
comic
designs.
Crestline Retreat, and we're all going to do a horror comic, and we're all going to do it black and white, and we're all going to, like, you know, and where we're all doing the same thing. That would be even more. It invites a lot of comparison, and that I think would be bad energy. I like that we're all, like you pointed out, we're all in our own lane. We're all doing very unique things. So.
Yeah, but it is fun when you're a fan of the people. You know. Oh, go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, sorry. No, I kind of like that, but like I think. You know, my brain works a little differently. Whereas, like, if we're competing against each other, I'm competing against you, but I'm really competing against myself.
Yes.
That's kind of how I think about it. So, like, even if you guys all produce way better work, it's just I get motivated by other great artists as opposed to being deflated. Yeah. So it's just like, oh man, they're doing so much better. I need to think of better ideas. So it's just, you know, like that's at least how I felt about it. Yeah. That would be a crazy treat though, like a crazy task.
Yeah. You know what? Even though I said that, it's like, wouldn't that be horrible? As soon as it came out of my mouth, I was like, we should do that at some point.
Yeah, we should totally do that next year. Yeah. Do like a one image thing. Like, okay, everyone gets to put a word or something on the whiteboard, and then we have to turn that into one image. Like
there you go. Well,
everyone except Jim gets to put a word on the whiteboard.
I thought about this with my sort of sentient crab deer alien. One of the, I'm sure lots of people have probably done this, but one of the favorite projects I had back in school was there was a fishbowl. Actually, there were two fish bowls. One was full of animals. One was full of plants.
Is this a story?
You all went up. There are no keys. You went up and you picked a plant and picked an animal, and you had your drawing project was going to be some sort of hybrid of these two things. And I pulled a mushroom and a pigeon, so I had to come up with some sort of fungal flying, like thing. Actually, it was so much fun. I would do that again in a second. It was just a weird, yeah.
Like I love that too, Scott. What you were mentioning too, because it's kind of like being the stupidest person in the room. Like I like being dumb around the people I'm around. One of the things I like about the Crestline meetup too is the one thing that I don't find myself always surrounded by are people who are creator owners, right? Like people who are actually making their own properties. I've definitely hung out a lot with artists that are like super talented, but I'm rarely in a room of people who have their own properties that I really admire. And that's really cool. And I definitely do like kind of like the fact that I don't think I'm the top of the chain there, and that's a good place to be because like it does. Like I said, when we sat down, I know Gary and I were both kind of blocked for a little bit. For me, it was just like I wasn't feeling what I was doing. Like I was still kind of in the funk of like getting ready for the teaching week and stuff like that. And again, just speaking about like talent kind of driving you to do better, it's like it was when Cory was like, "Oh, I got page 1 done," and then I look over and I'm like, "Oh man, that's good." I'm like, that's where I was like, "All right, Cory's shooting threes. I gotta start hooping a bit because otherwise I'm gonna get buried here."
Well,
Yeah.
and maybe to segue here to Scott Serkland is doing
Oh
this
yeah.
to me ridiculously ambitious called shot of like, I'm going to do this crazy project in the middle of all this chaos going on around me, like, so I mean, he can explain it, but that set a high bar where it's like, oh, we're working.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
We're working.
Yeah, Scott, why don't you get into like what was it that you were working on that we were all kind of blown away by? And what was your goal for like the Crestline thing, and then how did it end up? What did you take from it?
Yeah, so my intention wasn't really to show anything, but everyone else is showing stuff, so I did run and get it. So I'll show you first, but basically, so if you're not aware, I'm starting a new comic book project, and I wanted to just right off the bat create a really killer piece that I could, put frame in my house next to the other killer piece that Josh made for me. But just so when I'm walking through the hallway, I can look at it and say, "Oh man, I got to get moving on this project because this is inspiring me." It's kind of weird. In a way, it's kind of weird to say, having your own work inspire you. But anyway, that's kind of what I was going for. So this is sort of what I came up with. I don't know if you guys can see. It's kind of this massive piece. And this is sort of, and I filmed this whole thing, so there will be a video of the process. But this is a possible cover for my new comic book project. But more than likely, it'll have that logo and everything. And I really do kind of like this layout. So this is what I was working on. So beforehand, I had already penciled it out and everything. And getting this on the frame, as you can see, I got this masonite board and everything just to transport it to get it over there. But yeah, as I guess these guys can attest, because they were all concerned as much as I was that because I was working on basically like the kitchen island, because it's the only thing that's not going to shake, if somebody bumps it or something, because it's pretty solid. So I kind of made my setup. What's that?
I said Jim.
Yeah, I kind of set up right there, and I had set up my camera and all that, and so whereas everyone else is kind of moving around, for the first 2 days, I was right there at that area inking this thing, traditional inking, not even with the brush pen, but with like a dip, a brush and a dip pen. So, I made sure that my ink well was like basically stuck to the table with like that tacky stuff that used to hang pictures, so it doesn't get knocked over or anything. And then meanwhile, there's drinks being poured in kind of the vicinity. I'm like, a little nervous, but everyone else was kind of careful too.
So. I wanted to say, like, did you take a picture of your workspace? Because you took precautions, but there were like bags of chips.
I think other people,
like,
I think other people
basically an island with like snacks piled all around, and there's this clearing for this print that he's meticulously inking. It was crazy to see.
We were getting a fish
and keep
right
in mind
next
a
to
lot
it.
of drinking, right? So it's I think all of us I think again that attests to like why it's so cool to do our group though, because everyone knows what's gonna happen with live ink if somebody dumps water on it or something, So I think all of us kind of approach that area with a little bit of reverence, just to be like, okay, when I look at this, I'm gonna posture myself in a way where I don't bump Scott or like hit the table. Yeah,
I suspect, correct me if I'm wrong, Scott, that you would not do that in a room of normies. Like
No, I wouldn't
like
do it like a
like
drink
we
and
all know, like
draw or
whoa,
anything
be
like
careful.
that. No,
Yeah.
no. And the other thing I did is I put it out to Keith in advance and said, look, I want to bring this piece, but I have to be able to work on that island because I'm too nervous to work on it at a table, like just a regular kitchen table with 5 other people sitting at it, So yeah, he said, yeah, that was cool and everything. So I kind of figured all that out. But the interesting thing to me, my takeaway was, and I think I talked about this a little bit on the Making Comics episode that's going to air in a week or two. But because I've been doing a lot of digital stuff, and even when I do traditional stuff, like at a store signing or something like that, I was using like this kind of like a Tombow style brush pen, and it was pretty nice, but I just wasn't getting the control that I remember getting because I used to do everything, ink everything with the brush. And I thought, I was kind of thinking, I think maybe I've lost it, maybe I'm just getting older and I'm just not, but I started, when I first started this piece, I started specifically on more organic shapes like the kaiju rather than something like the mechs who are a little more angular and everything, just to test everything out. And the more I got into it, it's like, oh, and it starts coming back, and it just kind of gave me a good feeling like, oh, I haven't lost it. I can still control this brush and everything. And I'm stoked with how it came out. It's back basic, and I was nervous. The only thing left I think I have to do is some splatter techniques, which I didn't want to do in Keith's house. So
like,
I'll
hey,
probably
Keith,
do that.
You got a toothbrush that you aren't using?
Yeah. But yeah, I'm super happy with the way the piece turned out. And again, it's serving its purpose, because what I wanted was something that I could look at and say, oh man, yeah, you can do this, and this is going to be a cool project. Now you actually get to see it through. So.
Yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned like using kind of different materials and stuff during a signing when you're doing commissions or something like that. It must also feel good to like be like, this one I'm going 110 on. Like, you know what I mean? Like the others, you have a time limit, that kind of thing. But this one, it's like you can just put everything into and be like, all right, it's like a mic drop kind of piece.
Yeah,
and I think I will say, it definitely looks like that. Like when I
and
saw
hopefully the comic will be like that. Yeah. I mean, I want. Whereas, I mean, I love Young and the Dead. I think it's a great, fun story, but it takes place pretty much in the real world. It's got sort of the style of it's a little more young adult. And this one, and I don't think and I can safely say that I don't think anyone's going to look at my work on there and just be blown away by it. Hopefully they'll look at it and say, oh, this is great. The artwork's great and everything, but I don't think it's anything that's going to like wow people for the most part. Whereas this one, that's what I want this to be. I want people to look at this and say, bam, wow. I mean, I didn't know he could even do this kind of stuff. So,
Scott, we have a picture of that you're working on.
Oh, do you?
Well, you can't see the bottles and stuff around it, but there's a picture. I don't know if Cory.
I'm trying to pull some stuff up here.
Okay.
Faster, Cory. You're not working fast enough.
Oh yeah, there it is.
There we go.
There it is. Yeah. So yeah, that's a pretty good interpretation. You can see where and the funny thing is, I kept looking for my phone, like, oh, where's my phone? Where did I put it? And then I'm filming with it. So
and if go back to that shot, the previous one.
Oh, I turned in.
There is a cup. There is a cup right next to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right in the foreground.
I don't think there's anything in it. I think
that's where we were preparing food. I made a chicken croissant sandwich next to that.
Just out of frame here, there'd be piles of food.
Yeah.
There's me without my little scene on streaming without glasses because I had decided not to get reading glasses before the trip. So I was finding as I was drawing, like these my distance glasses were it was a big strain.
So that's the table where I didn't want to draw at. As you can see, that would have been
that's my watermelon there in the middle.
Yeah.
But
trippy.
It looks like chicken wings from here, but yeah, it's watermelon.
No, I put this because that's Scott back in the orange shirt.
Oh, okay.
Next to all of the food.
Yeah.
And shout out to Keith. There's Keith in the top right.
Yeah, his first appearance on the show.
Yeah.
Today at least.
So
what's really trippy about that is that picture of Scott working on it. He's actually sitting on a commode. So
Yeah.
It kind of was in a way. His seat. So the seats there were kind of these kind of artsy type. Oh,
I'm just trying.
yeah, but they're kind of these, and they swiveled around. There was sort of a lip at the back, like just it didn't go up very far, but a little bit. And anytime it would swivel around, and I'd sit on the wrong part, and it's like, oh, no. So I'm kind of worried about that too. If I sat down and like with my brush in my hand, I'd fall over or something. But yeah.
Yeah, I really dug that about it though, about the meetup, because like it did kind of feel like everybody had little stations, you know? And people were rotating around and stuff, just kind of, you know, like getting different conversations and stuff like that. But it did feel like there were these different pockets that were all talking about different topics. And then Scotch just felt like almost like a museum that you're like kind of walking through, but also getting to interact with Scott, because, you know, whenever you'd go get food, you'd like look over and be like, holy crap, man, that looks amazing. You know, I remember one time I was literally walking, I think, to grab another beer from the fridge. And I, you know, of course, to get to the fridge, you have to pass Scott, right? And I look over Scott's shoulder, and I think initially he was kind of getting in the flow of his inks, you know, and doing some of the organic stuff. But in one swipe, he does like a perfect circle with his brush, and I was like, all right, this guy's gonna rock this. Like, there's no question.
I don't know if it's a perfect circle. I'm pretty sure I can't do a perfect circle with a brush.
But it was real smooth. Like, it was a real smooth, like, arched line that's difficult to pull off.
It looked kind of, when you first started it looked a little bit impossible. Like, I don't know what, but
well, what amazed me is I actually finished it the second day, which gave me a chance to work on the other thing that I worked on, which was kind of talking with Cory about creating an animation for this intro to my new live stream. Which, so I played this track, this like 1 minute long track that's going to be sort of the audio part of it, and I want to kind of match the visuals and everything to that. So yeah, Cory, you had your.
No, I was going to say one of the things that I found really entertaining, you just mentioned like software, was I can't remember who it was, but somebody said, hey, how do you do this in Illustrator? And I didn't have to answer that question. Like, somebody else, expert, I think it was Josh, like got up and like was like, oh yeah, you do this, da 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 da. And I looked over at Gary, and it was like, in any other room, I would have been the one that got. And he's like, yeah, me too. I would have like, I would have to stop what I do and go do the thing. And it was like, oh yeah, there's like 7 experts like in the room right now. It was really refreshing, because it was awesome, because like I'm showing some of you guys like, hey, this is no bad sculpt. This is how I'm like doing my 3D characters or whatever. And then somebody else is like saying something that I've never heard of before. And I'm like, oh, this is amazing, you know? But that was like, I didn't have to be the tech support for every single thing that happened. And I think each of us is probably in that situation in most other groups of people, where it's like, oh, okay, I will tell you what a JPEG is, you know, or whatever.
Right. No, I agree with that. And I think that's one of the fun things too, because when somebody did ask about my work, or when I'd ask somebody about their work, I think all of us felt pretty comfortable not having to over explain, you know, because we all kind of know, like, we're all writing stories, we're all drawing stuff. So like a lot of it is like shop talk kind of stuff. So like, even when I was trying to think out loud about like a panel where I was just getting bored with like what I was roughing out. Just that little brief conversation with Scott Lost was like one of those where he's been in that, you know, like we've all kind of been there. So it was really useful to like not have to over explain like why whereas if I was talking to a normie, they'd just be like, well, I don't know, just draw something, you know, like it's kind of great to have somebody who's literally as concerned or interested in doing something dynamic and different, rather than just kind of so I agree with you on that, Cory.
Yeah, Josh, you know how the Beatles, when they went to the commune with the Maharishi, and John Lennon pulled the Maharishi aside, and they went on a helicopter ride together because John wanted to ask him the meaning of life, get him alone. Well, I gave Scott Serkland a ride down the mountain. And I got to pick his brain on the project. So I'm just saying, my new project.
Jim has kind of the whole pretty much
a lot, 5,000, and
I guess.
No, I'm really super. I mean, I asked him everything I wanted to know and everything that he could tell me, you know, about the project, and it's gonna be really, really good. Yes, we're
It
adding
is.
pressure. Yes, we are adding pressure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
love
Scott, your line control is so crazy, man.
Oh yeah.
That's and that type of thing. That's like one of the things on year one where I was like, I'm behind the eight ball on, you know, with all of these guys as far as art goes. So it's just like, all right, I got to try to keep up. And you know, this year I was way more comfortable, and then I started watching you ink, and then I was less comfortable.
Well, I don't want to make anyone uncomfortable, but I do appreciate that.
No, I was just kidding.
Don't tickle us.
Yeah. To be fair, there was a lot of making people uncomfortable, guys.
This is true.
There was.
Yeah,
There was.
way different kinds of ways.
Yeah.
All different ways.
Well, I really enjoyed Crestline. I just thought it was such a cool thing. It was just such a good experience, and I hope we kind of make this a routine. I guess we can kind of start closing out because we've been going for about, you know, an hour and 40 minutes, which is kind of perfect. I know Scott Lost has a hard out pretty soon.
Oh,
You
yeah,
can-
it was like 40 minutes ago.
Let him,
Yeah.
let him be the first to
Yeah, I was supposed to be out, but it was more to just kind of get the night rolling down, you know?
Yeah.
But the thing about this episode was it was like, oh, cool, we're back at Crestline, because I've just been working while we've been
Me
doing
too.
this.
Yeah, me too.
And you know, usually when Keith and I are doing a podcast, it's like concentrated. We need to pay attention. I mean, not that I'm not paying attention, but like you also have to think of things to say.
Yeah.
And like when it's like this, there's so many of us. It's like I don't have to say anything for 15, 20 minutes and it's not going to make a difference. Whereas it's just two people. And you know, so like I'm like, this is great. We're just chopping it up like we have been for the last 3 days. And I'm actually, before I get off, can I pop something on the screen real quick? Is that cool?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do it super fast, I think. Just kidding. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Is it my wallet?
It is. That would be great.
I will say while Scott's getting that ready, it was really nice that you lost your wallet for me, because whenever I was like, I gotta kind of stretch my legs, I still had something to do. I would just go outside and look for Jim's wallet.
Actually, yes. Thank you, Cory.
Yeah.
What are you guys
didn't
seeing
find
on the screen?
Just
I have, yeah.
Is it just the standard one?
Still you.
I just see your browser, which is the StreamYard.
Oh, you can see my browser. Oh, sweet.
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
so you guys see me doing all of this stuff?
Yes.
Cool. I completely don't know where the heck those images went. Oh gosh.
Here, just let me know when you're ready to go, and I'll put it back up.
Okay, cool. Sweet.
While
Yeah,
he's
well-
looking, I want to share this with you guys.
Oh, is that the clapping sound effects? Yeah.
I was gonna ask for some sound effects.
That's them. That is them. And then we recorded this one too. I think you guys would be really proud of this. Right here. Hang on. Who's gonna find it first, Scott or me?
Okay, I got it.
All right, you win. I'll play it
Okay.
after.
Can you guys see the image on the
Yeah.
screen? Okay, cool. So this is what I started with while we've been recording. And so I basically needed to subtract some lines and stuff like that, like minimalize it. And then, so this is what I ended up with.
Nice.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
That looks a little bit Benjamin Mara. I like it.
Oh, yeah? Oh,
Yeah.
okay, nice.
Yeah. I love it. Jim and I are big Benjamin Mara fans. That's a huge compliment.
Yes.
Okay.
Speaking of,
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Tatiana to the stage.
Don't do the end of that recording.
okay.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what we did this weekend.
I have
I
to
love
say,
it.
I won't. I'll try to just give the minimum version of this because I don't know if there'd be any spoilers. But one of the highlights.
That's all right.
Okay, well, one of the highlights of the trip, not the highlight, but one for sure, was sitting with Scott Lost and absolutely murdering a bunch of celery in the name of sound effects.
Oh, there's a photo of that somewhere.
Yeah.
I'll try
That
to
was
find
fun.
it. Yeah, I took him upstairs and had him record the sound of. Well, it was Gary's idea with the celery, the punching and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Well, you told me you needed there was going to be a neck breaking. I was like, why don't we're going to be, because I knew we were going to be stopping at Trader Joe's on the way up. I was like, why don't we get some celery and just like, you know,
I
like
am
said,
so
like-
surprised that suggestion didn't come from Cory, because it when it comes to folly and the murder of vegetables, Cory Kerr is a wild fan of that.
Well, when Scott and I got Gary upstairs, he's like, "Well, what are we going to do the punching sounds effects with?" And we were like,
yeah.
I still think
the whole melee.
That was
I
just
still
the
think, Jim, if you
melee.
yeah, that's the Crestline initiation. It's like, welcome to Crestline. Yeah.
Jim, if you want to add a little bit of pepper, that just makes that initial crack or two.
you were telling us that, yeah.
Yeah.
But you mean like a bell pepper, not like
Yeah, like a big bell pepper, and you hold it like this, and you crush it in with your your fingers. Yeah.
Look at these guys. Look at how happy they. And then for some reason, Scott, do you have an ice cream cone?
Yeah.
What the heck? That is a strange photo. This is one of those caption this for $1,000. You know?
And the people at home may not realize this, but just for future reference, you never know when this knowledge might come in handy. If you punch a bunch of celery, it explodes in every direction. I thought it would just sort of collapse, but like bits of it just go everywhere.
Yeah.
It's probably still in the carpet up there, actually.
There's a video of me doing this years ago for an animated short, and I at one point in time, somebody on YouTube was commenting.
I was put your heart into it, right?
Yeah. I had a potato masher, and I was just going to town on this orange, and they're like, how much should you have to clean your keyboard? Because there was just like orange juice just shooting all. It was
Did you ever see that Timothy Chalamet movie where he went to town on a peach? Just wondering. Nobody?
I did not.
Okay,
Sorry.
it was a good movie. You guys got to see it.
Again, as soon as he said, I just went to town on it, you can see there's no poker face on this guy right here. You can immediately see him just like.
I looked around real quick when he said it.
Yeah.
I will tell you, at Crestline, no one gets away saying anything like that.
No,
I don't know another appropriate phrase for hitting citrus with a blunt instrument.
Yeah, I don't know. At Crestline, you could like, guys, I fell down the stairs, my leg's broken and it's all swollen, and you'll get 6 different.
Yeah, you'd have 3 people in the other room go like, it's all swollen.
Yeah,
it's all swollen.
So basically, it's kind of like a Crestline kindergarten in a way. So.
It was a fun meetup. I can't wait for the next one. I find it really reinvigorating for anybody like listening to this. If you guys have artist friends or other creators that are kind of like-minded, they don't have to be doing the same thing. I think to me, one of the things that almost is like the requirement for Crestline, in my opinion, is people who finish stuff, like people who make stuff and finish stuff. But find your crew of people that have something in common, like, with art, and meet up in person. It can actually be really good. I find this so much more rewarding than like a drink and draw, where a lot of time you go to a drink and draw and it's fun, but it's like a lot of kind of hobby sketching, and this was like really just crazy productive. I didn't lose my momentum on my workflow, and I got to hang out with a lot of artists I admire and respect, and you'll get a fire from it, so thanks to all of you guys for doing Crestline and all that stuff. Thanks for showing up. Scott, I'm going to let you kind of close us out first. So, Scott, if people were listening to this and they saw some of that art and they want to see some more like finished work, or check out Accidental Aliens or Second Shift, where can they kind of get a hold of that stuff and also keep track of what you're up to?
Yeah, they can go to accidentalaliens.com. Actually, that's the best place to pick the stuff up. Or you can hit me up on my social medias. At Scott Lost, SCOTTLOST on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, Facebook.com/Scott Lost. And I already gave the website, so that's pretty much it.
I love it so much. Yeah, you guys definitely should check out Scott's work. He's a very talented creator, and his stories are super fun. And even though they're superhero with a twist, like especially second shift. So it's worth checking out. Gets kind of heady and indie, and I think it's well worth the read. Um, all right. Second to that, let's go to Cory. Cory, where can everybody find your work and follow your stuff? Most of you guys know Cory was co-host of the show, but Cory, where can everybody follow your work, especially if they're interested in martial arts master? I'm trying to remember the specific bug, but yeah, kung fu fights in
the warrior monk.
Yes.
Yeah, you can read Rage of Enlightenment at corykerr.com/comic. You can read that for free. If you want to subscribe so you get an email notification when I drop new pages, which is a good idea, you can go to corykerr.com/rage. And that comic is about kind of a group of insects rebelling against kind of a big authoritarian government that's in bed with some rising kind of billionaires that are kind of taking over things in an unethical way. And so it's about all the little individual conflicts. The best thing that I've heard said about it this weekend was, I don't like insects and I actually care about your characters. So if you want to do that, then you can go check that out at corykerr.com/comic.
I love that so much. And I think a good example of why you guys should also be following Cory on YouTube is like one of the reasons I've been friends with Cory forever. So it made me happy to hear Keith say this, but there was a point where Cory was kind of commenting on a couple of the conversations at Crestline, and Keith stopped him and was like, you know what? You remind me of an old professor I had. And initially Cory's like, "Oh man, is this an insult?" Like, and he was like, "No." He was like the coolest guy because like in his class you'd like have to do presentations, and what you realized real quick was like this guy knows everything about everything, and he was like, "You're kind of like that. Like I kind of admire the fact that you seem to know a lot about a lot of things," and I always like that because yeah, Cory's really good at articulating and giving really thoughtful, insightful ideas. And that was really fun just to have a weekend of like Cory there to like chime in with like a super just on point, intelligent thought, almost every minute on everything we were talking about. That was great. So thank you, Cory. Check out Cory's work. And then Jim, where can everybody find your work? Yeah, I got samples of some stills of your work while I was drawing this weekend, and a lot of them made me chuckle because, like, again, even your work slowed down. There's just this incessant humor fused into everything you do. Where can people check that out?
Thank you. Just go to jimlujan.com. That'll get you to my YouTube page. And then also, if you have Samsung TV, a Vizio TV, Roku, or what's the other one? Plex. You can watch Animation Plus on any of those, and my cartoons are on Animation Plus, so you can watch them on TV. And look, I found my wallet.
Yay.
Easy, Tiger.
Yeah, thank you guys. Shout out to Keith too. Thank you guys.
I love it. While you weren't looking, Jim, I just took your wallet, so you're back to square one. Gary, where can everybody follow your work and see some of these like brilliant character art pieces come to fruition? Like you've obviously done concept sketches for previous Dinosaurs versus Marsbots. Where can people kind of check that out and follow your work?
If you'd like to support my comics, my work, you can find me on Instagram with this handle right here, Dinosaurs versus Marsbots, Dinosaurs vs Marsbots. I'm also on YouTube under my name. Both have links to a link tree where you can go to the Etsy shop to buy books, and you can find all my other social medias. So
I love it. And don't be fooled by the title. Like Dinosaurs versus Marsbots. When I first met Gary and I found out that was his book, I was excited because I like B movies, right? So I was like, okay, it's going to be kind of like Mars Attacks kind of story, And I'm like, I love that stuff. And then I read it and I was just hit by the profound like story of just like human suffering. Like it is an amazing piece of like literature, and yet it still has all the cool B movie stuff in it. So you guys really need to check out Dinosaurs versus Marsbot. It's just a perfect example of like strong character writing.
Thank
So,
you. Yeah, it
yeah.
does have a B movie premise, but I would say the tone, think more like Twilight Zone-y, where
Yeah.
it's more like little character pieces and little moral and ethical dilemmas and things like that. So
Yeah, I love it. Okay, and then if you want to check out my stuff, you can go to joshuakemble.com. That'll take you to everything. But you can also purchase Jacob's Apartment, the story about two polar opposite roommates who are haunted by their childhood pasts, and it kind of talks about how those pasts shape their adult presence. And then also how two polar opposites can kind of find themselves drawn together in light of current situations, and how dreams and reality interweave. So check that out. That's Jacob's Apartment. And then Two Stories, which tries to destigmatize hard conversations about faith and mental illness. And then finally, I'm streaming here on YouTube quite often, working on my latest graphic novel, having just casual conversations with people in the chats and kind of talking about all sorts of stuff, sometimes armchair philosophizing. So make sure you're subscribed and you've hit the bell for this. Scott, Hip Optimus Rhyme. We've seen sneak peeks of this beautiful cover art that you've been inking. How can people kind of keep track of that? How can they check out Young and the Dead, your graphic novel? And, where do they go to kind of keep track of this crazy Train the Artcasters? Like, we were going to possibly stream Saturday. We streamed today. We were, gonna, do it on Scott's channel next week, but who knows? Maybe next week we'll do it on Gary's channel. Who knows? How do people know?
Gary
So,
is not.
yeah,
Gary's
let
like,
us know.
what? No.
He's not
I
even
mean,
an art
anything's
yet, but
possible, but
yeah.
Yeah. So my stuff you can find, just go to circworks.com. There's links to my YouTube. There's links to my Patreon. There's links to my, the actual online store is on the website, but all the stuff is up there at circworks.com. And just, stay tuned to my YouTube channel. They'll eventually, I'm going to make a big pivot and also announce a new channel. So stay attuned to all that stuff. But as far as what Josh is talking about, this show, The Artcasters, we pretty much go live every single week, but it does bounce and forth between Josh's channel and my own, and schedules might change. You never know. But if you want to know exactly when we're going to go live, just join our mailing list. There should be a link in the description. Click on that, and hopefully about 30 minutes before we go live, we'll send out a newsletter. And that's all we do. That's the only reason that's for. We don't spam you or anything. It's just to let you know, when we're about to go live, because YouTube doesn't always notify you. So check that out. Link in the description.
I love it, and I'm excited that we even got another chance to get a sneak peek at that beautiful cover, Scott. All right, well, it's always fun hanging out with you lads, and hopefully we'll do it again.
Thank you, Keith.
Yeah, thank you very much to Keith. Keith Foster is literally one of the best hosts on the planet, so thank you, Keith, for hosting us.
yes.
And with that, I will close out. I don't think we're probably not going to play the whole song, but we're going to go ahead and call it. So goodbye, guys. Bye.